Okay, coming to you live from Round Rock, Texas. We're here with Nick and Jerome to talk about some of the technical details behind Docker. How are you guys this morning?
Great. Wonderful, thank you.
All right, so you guys got in late last night, so you might be a little bleary-eyed, but I'm going to ask you some questions anyway. So maybe first you can introduce yourselves. We'll start with Jerome and talk about how long you've been involved and what you do in the project.
So I've been with dotCloud for 3 years and a half now, and working on Docker almost from day one. And I've been trying to inject as much as the background and experience that we had with running the dotCloud platform into Docker to make sure that it would be a good fit for those use cases and all the production constraints that go with that.
And Nick?
I'm Nick Stinemates. I joined dotCloud about 2 months ago. I was active in the community prior to joining. My interest is related to automation, continuous deployment, and things like that.
Cool. So now, Docker are containers. How are these containers similar or different from LXC or from Solaris containers? And yeah, we'll just start with that.
So Docker in its current version acts as a kind of wrapper above LXC containers. So under the hood, when you start a container with Docker, it actually uses LXC start, part of the standard LXC tools, to spin up that container. In future versions, we will also have options to use libvirt LXC and even non-containers runtimes. So for instance, if you happen to run on an older kernel that doesn't have container support or that has incomplete container support, we'll be able to fall back to a simple chroot. There has also been some proofs of concept to spin up virtual machines instead of containers, so losing some of the advantages of containers over virtual machines, but being an interesting proof that it's possible and easy to switch the backend for those containers. And as for the differences with zones, jails, and other systems out there, I'd say that LXC is just the Linux flavor of this concept. The feature set is pretty much the same. There are of course a few low-level technical differences, but we look forward and are very excited about the idea of soon enough be able to port Docker to other operating systems and use it to spin up jails on FreeBSD and zones on Solaris, or Limosno, or anything else.
And as you say, other operating systems, right now you're Ubuntu only.
So currently we recommend people to run Ubuntu if they want to use Docker, but that's mainly because we try to focus as much as possible, and it's easier to support something if you try to limit the number of options. But actually any kernel with a UFS support will do. And that's the fact that Ubuntu and Debian kernels come with a UFS support out of the box makes them like excellent candidates for to run Docker. However, the next Docker version 0.7 should, if everything goes along the plan, come with support for device mapper thin snapshots, which means that it should be able to run on kernels without a UFS support, which means that it should work on all Red Hat, Fedora, CentOS, and even other distros out there, because those device mapper thin snapshots are part of the kernel since 3.2, something like that. So virtually any distro out there will support that.
Yeah, I would just like to add that one of the really cool things about our community is that they've got Docker running on pretty much every distro out there, even the ones that aren't friendly to AUFS today, like Red Hat and Fedora.
And so, just to wrap up, if we look to the future, Nick, what are some of the things, sounds like you've got a DevOpsy type of a background, what would be the features that you would like to see or the direction you'd like to see for Docker?
One of the really cool things about Docker is the fact that it has so many different applications and different use cases depending on the role in the company. So as a development engineer, I have a way to get an environment up and running and to start coding immediately. As a QA engineer, I have a repeatable environment to to set up and tear down. From a continuous integration perspective, I have a way to take something that was in a development environment and promote it through the various stages to get it to production. And as a sysops, all I have to worry about is managing containers and not worry about how the application was built.
Very cool. All right, Jerome and Nick, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.